Before we dive into today's video, let's understand a small concept. Why should you even budget? It might be pretty tedious, right? Well, if you think of it, your budget acts like a map for your money. It helps you understand where your cash is going and where you can take back control. It's not about restricting yourself, it's about being aware. Now, with that said and done, let's get into the model itself. Now, if you look at the student expense tracker, it's primarily divided into two sheets. The first being your dashboard and the second one the expenses. Now, when you look at the dashboard in itself, it might look a little overwhelming right now. But don't worry, as in when you understand this model, that is in the next sheet itself, you will find this very easy. So when you look at this expenses sheet, this is where you're going to be doing all of your work, wherein you're going to enter all the required data. Now, when you look at this first thing, the expenses itself, 30 to 31 days for you to record. That might sound a little tedious, but this is a beginner model. And there's one more important thing, which I feel that you need to know. That is, now you're beginning to budget, you're beginning to handle your own finances. So you need to learn a little bit of this tedious work, because this tedious work might be a bit boring, but you are building a habit for the future of saving, understanding how your money works, and many more things. Now, when you build this habit in the habit now itself, you're going to thank yourself and me, of course, in the future. So with that said and done, let's understand your expenses. Now, I've divided into four categories. That is food, transport, miscellaneous, and enjoyment. Now, let's understand food. It's a necessity, but your expenses would either vary every single day, or it might be a constant amount every single day. Depending upon that, you would have to take the next action. Your next expense is transport, followed by miscellaneous. Now, you could put those things which do not have a proper category over here in miscellaneous, or if they are regular expenses, you can just create a separate category in itself. And the last one is enjoyment. Now, you might be wondering one thing, that I have expenses like 789, 900, 591. All are big numbers for a student, at least for me as a student. But these numbers are all random variables between 100 and 1000. And this is just made in order to fill this entire model so that we can have a working one. You can always enter in your expenses, just like we're going to do over here. Now, let's take this and clear all the contents. By the way, before we clear the contents, I would love to explain this interesting feature to you. You can see that there are some cells which are marked in red. There are some which are in green and some which are in different shades of red and green. Now, what has been done is that based upon your expenses, this sheet is going to assign it a particular color. Green means that your expenses are pretty low or on a good side, while red means that you have to pay attention to these and see if you actually have to reduce it. If it can be reduced, it's well and good. If not, we'll have to live with it. Now, this being a basic model, I've not made many complex things in this sheet. So what I've particularly done is, as of now, these cells are, let's just say, edited in such a way that the expenses which are in red are more like relative to one, is because they are relatively higher than the other expenses. If you look at it, there's 200 here, 100, 739 and 289. The one which is higher is assigned red. But as and when we develop some more Excel models, I'll definitely love to put more constraints or put more rules and conditions for this. But until then, we'll have to live with this and understand the art of budgeting through simple expense trackers. When you scroll a little lower, you would find your totals column. This totals column is basically a total of all your food expenses, your transport, miscellaneous, and enjoyment. But now if you also want to add another column to show you the totals, you can always do it by using the sum function. Let me do it for you right now. So let's say that I want my total over here. All that I have to do is equal to sum, and select these 4 columns. Okay, here. So now once we have our total, you know how much you've spent in 1 month. Don't worry about the numbers, you can always change them. By the way, let's change some numbers and actually see how you're supposed to do it. Let's say you want to change these numbers. All that I have to do is right click and then press clear contents. Now don't worry, when you clear contents, you're still going to have access to these colored cells. Let me show you in a moment. Here. And these numbers which are changing regularly, it's just the way random variables work. Now coming to a very interesting section, that is your totals have been again mentioned on top, and that is for this pie chart over here. Now if you look at this pie chart is going to speak to you. It's going to show you where all have you spent your money and in what proportion. So as we can see in this model, you've spent the most money on miscellaneous. So now you know what has to be changed. It is going to give you an insight by speaking to you as to what is high, what is low, so that you can make your decision and then work out your budget for the next time. So we've understood the expenses section. Let's go to the dashboard itself. Now this dashboard is where things get fun, because now data is going to speak to you and you are going to finally be able to take action. I have aligned 4 bar charts for you. Yeah, 3 bar charts. I've kept a few charts for you so that you can understand your expenses well. Now if you look at the first one, that is your daily enjoyment, what you understand from that is that on this date, that was on 22nd, you spent a lot on your enjoyment. Same goes for 4th, and another day in between. So now you know what changes you have to make in your plan in order to ensure that you don't repeat this mistake. This is a good way of you getting feedback, realistic feedback about how you're spending your money. The same works for miscellaneous daily, your daily transport. Wow, I did spend a lot of money on transport. In my hypothetical life, of course. And here's a food daily expense. Now when you look at this total over here, it's again going to show you a diagrammatic representation of where you spent the most. Remember we saw in the last column that you spent a lot of money on miscellaneous. So that's how miscellaneous shows the most amount. With that said, I can finally say this was my first Excel model on a student expense tracker. This is bound to help you in your journey in budgeting. And this is just the first one. I'm going to make many more, each one with increasing complexity and the ability to do more. And all these models are going to be available to you through a link in the description mentioned below. So if you love this video, my explanation and the model itself, do drop a like, subscribe for more interesting stuff. Subscribe for more interesting models, and do drop a comment if you liked it, and if you're going to recommend it to someone, why is it going to be? With that said, I have to say, we'll meet again trying to understand another model. With that said, I have to say, we'll meet again trying to understand another model, trying to take another step in a student's budgeting journey or understanding some Notion models itself. If you're excited for that, do drop a comment. Thank you.